Sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Hello ladies, hello gentlemen, welcome to SimRacers World TV for round 2 of the SimracerCoin Sunday GT3 World League here from Silverstone. From Silverstone. My name is Hasse Rømer, and if I can get things right, I'm joined by Peter Worrell. I was about to say, it's going so well. As you can see, Peter MacKay, the knowing Scotsman who's with me in the booth for today. A round of racing that surely is going to be rewarding the brave here at Silverstone with fast-flowing corners aplenty. I think it's going to be one to watch indeed. Peter, what's your expectations for this one?
Well, pleasure to be here with you, Hasse, and it's brilliant to see the old Silverstone back. Of course, the layout at Silverstone changing in 2010 when the new wing complex came in and the new loop section and entry as well. But this is the Silverstone of old, which many of us have such fond memories of. And this was the layout which hosted the British Touring Car Championship in 1992 when John Cleland and Steve Soper so famously or infamously came together with Nigel Mansell in 1987 chasing down Nelson Piquet. And today we're going to go GT3 racing around this old friend, this old layout here at Silverstone. And of course, we could call it I think you might have landed on a new name for it, Hasse, but of course, this layout doesn't exist anymore. So the only way you'll find it is in a sim. So we could call it Silverstone.
Yeah, just my luck that it was made to make some sense in the end. Anyways, quite the interesting one. We had a very eventful opening round 2 weeks ago at Okayama. The track formerly known as Aida. That's something I didn't know. I was genuinely surprised because I was well aware there was a Japanese Grand Prix at Aida in the 90s. I remember the track being in Formula 1 97 as a bonus track back in the PlayStation 1 days, in my early days of my life. I was, 6-7 years old back then, but I used to enjoy that game a whole lot. And I used to enjoy the commentary work of Murray Walker in that game a whole lot as well. It was absolutely fantastic. We're watching Robert van den Heuvel for HM Digital in the number 23 car as they're making their way around for the final 6.5 minutes of practice here. I'm just gonna have a look at the... I'm gonna fade the music and I'm gonna have a look at the time set because Valdir Suarez Jr., our race winner from 2 weeks ago, set an absolutely blistering pace early days here in practice. It seems to me the competition is just about picking up on his pace now, because we have the top 3 cars within around a tenth of a second, and we have second and third, here in practice at least, Kamal Hashimi second, Stephen Orrell third. Those 2 drivers separated by just 1/100th of a second. As you can see on the standings, we have Savino Melillo, the Italian Ferrari driver, fourth, and the aforementioned Robert van den Heuvel. Just shows fan for some reason up there. I'll see if I can get that fixed. But Robert van den Heuvel fifth, Pete Plasto, Eric Fallet, Jack Werrell, and I think it's pretty much an interesting one here. Usually you'd see him here in the booth with us, but today he's on track. Jack Werrell giving display of his second range of talents, and that's as a driver behind the wheel.
Yeah, you're going to see exactly why Jack makes such a good commentator today. Well, he's out on track. He's in the Sim Racers World TV AMG Mercedes, big 6.3 litre front engine monster. So, of course, Jack drives for the Fiercely Forward team normally, but he's been on loan. He's been loaned out to Sim Racers World TV for this round here at his beloved home track of Silverstone. Oh, fighting oversteer there on the AMG Mercedes. Now, Hasse, I've been doing a little bit of research on some of the drivers throughout the week, and Robert van den Heuvel, who you were talking about in the Audi, he has one of the best nicknames I think I've ever heard. His nickname is actually Robert the Lobster. So from now on, he's not Robert van den Heuvel. We should call him Rob the Lobster.
Rob the Lobster, indeed it is. I can go with that one, Peter, for sure. So we're still watching Jack Werrell. Let's just see the Lobster now in the pits. Let's hope he don't get cooked in there for too long until they release him again. Here's our provisional pole setter, Valdir Suarez Jr. And if I'm very much not mistaken, that's Maggots and Beckett. He's coming through at the beginning of the lap. As you mentioned before, Peter, is indeed this legacy version of Silverstone. So it's the, so to say, the old layout of the track. It's been renewed since. And this is one of these tracks where, again, I think I recall the 90s layout quite a bit better than this modern one. And just like what happened to Hockenheim, I think some of us at least will be, with a little tear in our hearts when thinking of how these, at least some of these tracks used to be. Of course, there are still tracks around that hasn't really been changed, well, basically since the 1970s. And here I'm thinking of Spa-Francorchamps. And still, though, Spa's seen quite a bit of change in the area around the bus stop chicane over the years. And, of course, there are other circuits that has remained the same for quite a while. Suzuka hasn't really changed. That final chicane changed a little bit, though. I don't know if there's any other notable ones I've missed, Peter?
I'm trying to think. There's most racetracks have to be modernised. Zandvoort, of course, has just had a couple of changes, albeit quite minor changes, to get ready for its hosting of the Formula One Grand Prix. But this is the old original layout of Silverstone, which has been like this for many, many years until 2010, where they built the new pit complex and the new kind of village and loop and entry corners. And the bit that we lost was mainly the old Abbey, Farm Straight, Bridge and Priory. So today we're going to race on the old familiar, the old favourite layout of Silverstone. So if you're relatively new to motorsport or iRacing and you don't recognise this as Silverstone, well, this is what it used to look like. And this is the really cool thing about sim racing is that not only tracks but also cars can be they can be frozen in time for use. And of course, one of those cars, as we should get it up on screen if it is out on track right now, is the Ford GT. The Ford GT3 was in service very briefly and was actually campaigned by a Belgian team called Mark VDS. There it is. There it is. So the old Ford GT there, still alive here on iRacing, long retired from competition, but out there, and Chris Pio carrying the flag for Detroit and for this wonderful car.
And another thing that we're just going to do before we get qualifying underway, I'm going to take you through the standings after round 1. We've got Valdir Suarez Jr., who's also atop the standings now into the final minute of practice, leading with 30 points. Cohen Mulder, who's quite a bit away down in 13th or so here in practice, second, and second place Lanshu 27. We've got Kamal Hashimi, who's very much also up there in the Audi R8 LMS, 25 points in third. Eric Fillet, who's fourth last time around, poetic fourth for him as well in the AMG GT, 33 points for him. Stephen Orrell is fifth with 21 points. Pete Plastow, Drew Williams, Savino Melillo, Jose Godinho. Oh, that's Jose Godinho because he's Portuguese, obviously. Gaston Borri, Dirk Reski. We've got Dirk Brinksma. He's down in what I make out to be 11th place at 13 points. And from there on, it's a single point separating him. Alfredo Triaje, Patef, Pedro Marimon. We've got Stephen Kral, Daniel Kuhl. What a cool name indeed. Damien Tromby, Nils Cornelis, Jacob Krause. We've got, and I always get confused because he is an American, but that's a very Danish name, Jacob Krause. And I always want to just say it in very Danish fashion indeed. Lee Tucker, Chris Pio indeed picked up 3 points. Dean Pavicic and Timo Paya was the last one to pick up points at round 1. With that, let's see, we got drivers heading out now for 20 minutes of qualifying. And Peter, 20 minutes for a half an hour race. It's quite a long time for the drivers to get out there and put in a time.
It is indeed, yeah. But I guess here at Silverstone, you've got to get out there and get those laps under your belt because the track limits are relatively strict here. So you've got to make sure you get out there and get some laps under. So we're looking at the Sim Racers World TV car of the number 65 of Jack Werrell there in that orange and black Mercedes. And oh dear, that's oh dear, Jack won't be very happy about that. I don't know sure which car is that in front of him there, that yellow car that says dairy is scary on it.
That's the vegan AMG GT3 we saw that as well last time around, but who's behind the wheel of it, I am actually not quite sure. Is that the car of Stephen Orrell? No, that's the car up ahead. No, that is the car of Stephen Orrell indeed. So he's been running very well in practice here for this race. So we're expecting good things here. Oh, and already on the out lap, there is a bit of a calamity into that chicane. And we're gonna see if we can catch a second look at what just happened. And I'm not even sure that it caught that and registered it as an incident. And also, I'm not sure that any of the cars picked up any sort of damage. Could be seen as a 0x. And of course, Jack Werrell's not going to be very happy with that. He actually did pick up a bit of damage. And he went back to the pits to reset. And of course, 20 minutes does make sure that they're able to find clean track space to put in that lap. Because too much traffic, Peter, is going to be a problem on this qualifying session.
Yeah, that's always the balance, isn't it? Is to me, you always want to have the maximum amount of opportunities to put laps in, and with 20 minutes here, and including your out lap, you're only getting 8 or 9 opportunities at the most, and that's if you hit all the laps as well. So. Yeah, it's a tricky one. And remember also that our whoop is one of the Mercedes there into the barrier. Oh dearie me. But remember, we have a fixed setup here, so all the drivers oh dearie me. All the drivers will start this qualifying session and indeed the race with the same amount of fuel. So the quicker you can get out, the quicker you can start burning the fuel off and get the car lighter. As one of the Ferraris there, oh dear, getting a bit loose and into the barrier. Easy to do on these colder tyres at the start of qualifying. That's why you'll see quite a few of the drivers weaving around here, furiously trying to create some friction to get some heat into those tires, so that once the tires are up to temperature and pressure, then they'll grip into the surface a lot better.
Indeed, here as we're watching Nico van Hale. And we should be seeing the first couple of times coming through in not too long. So he's trying to make his way through, but that's battling for position. And as we mentioned before, that is absolutely not what you want to do on your outlap, or what is effectively not even an outlap for these drivers. This will be the first hot lap. Coming into the final section. Oh, it's Nico van Hale loses the rear end. He spins it to a nice pirouette. One of the Audis off track as well. I think that's newcomer EJ Fuellner, the American. Let's have a look here. Well, that's not even EJ Fuellner. That's somewhere completely separate on track. Oh, he goes for a big detour out, buttonizing that grass field. Finds the off track, and I would suppose that he goes back to the pits. Yes, he does. Back with live pictures. We have the first couple of laps now coming in. So Eric Verlet with a 150.3, still a bit of distance away from the times we've seen in practice here, as a Ferrari rejoins and is going quite slowly there on the left-hand side. And by the way, let me just take this opportunity to welcome everyone here to YouTube, to Twitch, and on Facebook, Sim Racers World TV. A warm welcome to everyone watching along here. Early days. Still 15 minutes of qualifying left with me, Hasse Rømer, and Peter MacKay in the booth for what is the second round of the SimracerCoin GT3 World Series. Or I should say Sunday GT3 World League. It is, to be completely... I'm having a bit of trouble with those names and designations tonight. Hopefully, at some point, I will be able to get it right. But anyway, Eric Verlet here, looking good. As I said, we're still around 7-8 tenths off what we've seen in practice, and an hour's worth of practice before qualifying. And the other couple of top runners right now are the usual suspects of Valdir Suarez Jr. and Kamal Hashimi. And Valdir Suarez Jr. appears with an American flag to us here, but he made it known last time around he is indeed Brazilian. Here is Martin de Jong, the newcoming privateer in the 79 machine. Yet another Mercedes AMG GT3, a hugely popular car in the GT3 class, known for a combination of predictability, straight line speed, and sort of friendly type of handling characteristics combined with that top speed makes it a popular car, and a car of choice for many indeed. And it does make sense. It does carry a little bit less of that snap oversteer that you'll see both the Audi, the McLaren, and the Ferrari as well have. Oh, someone is off there. That's Timo Paya, I think. Indeed, it is Timo Paya in the 73 Audi. Getting it a little bit squirmy there and trying not to get in the way of Martin de Jong. I think he manages to do so pretty well here. Valdir Suarez Jr. on his last lap, he went purple by 0.03 of a second. So Peter, very close here, as in practice, indeed in qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be a close battle between Verlet and Suarez, perhaps closer than we saw last time out at Okayama, where Suarez Jr. was pretty dominant, really, in his Ferrari. Just to mention there, you were mentioning the newcomer Martin de Jong. He is very, very new to the iRacing service. In fact, he joined on the 28th of June. So he's been on iRacing for 2 or 3 weeks. So Martin de Jong, he's doing great in 12th place. To be so new to the simulator, to be up there already, just moved back into 13th. But great job on his debut from him. And Verlet running a very, as we see, Suarez putting in another purple lap time, 1:50.109 from him as we approach halfway in this qualifying session. Also seeing a couple of the BMWs up there as well, the BMW Z4, one of the older cars on the service, but perhaps the friendliest in terms of its handling. Now, Trickerici in 9th, the Argentinian. We saw him unfortunately get punted off, no fault of his own, at Okayama 2 weeks ago. But Trickerici actually has, Alfredo Trickerici has a lot of real-world racing experience, particularly at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, where he drives a BMW as well, but this time an M235i, which is very cool. As we see, Simon Van Dijk, dearie me, getting stuck under the bridge there. Don't want to do that. That's another benefit of sim racing. You can press press escape and have another go. Now, this is a cool looking car here, Marcos Vento, the Valvoline Ferrari. That's very cool.
Very nice indeed. Not something I remember seeing last time out, really. We might not just have noticed. Might have been absent or something, but the number 16 Ferrari 4th at the moment here. And indeed, as you said a minute ago, we are approaching the halfway point of this qualifying session. So now's the time to really get those laps in for the drivers. And the question is, how many laps can you actually do before you start to overheat the tires and get beyond that optimal point? Because you said about 8 or 9 laps, but that's if you do all the laps in one big string, and I don't think that's going to be the fastest way to approach it. We'll see if anyone picks up on that. Aldir Suarez now leaving the pit lane, or is he entering? He's actually entering the pits, so well, that makes sense. We saw
to get another bit of another set of tires, possibly. Another crash for Simon Van Dijk in the number 6 for the Dutchman in the Next Level Racing NL machine, BMW for him. I wonder what's happened to him. He's not having the best of qualifying sessions so far. But yes, perhaps Suarez Jr. coming in to put on a new set of shiny boots and go out there and set some more lap times. When you've got that absolute fresh tire, it does help. That's for sure. Jack Merrill currently sitting in 11th place in the Sim Racers World TV machine in the Mercedes, his beloved Mercedes, the car he loves so much. But really, Hasse, we'd have preferred to see him in the McLaren or the Ford, wouldn't we?
Yeah, indeed. But I mean, as long as we see the lovely young Jack on track, I think we're happy in the end here, as he's he's gonna have to now navigate the Mercedes in front. He gets slightly held up. I believe that might cost him a 10th or 2. And a bit of a scare as well for Jack Werrell. And a lot of good luck coming in for Koen Mulder, who had a very good race last time out, but hasn't really made it work yet in qualifying. Let's see here, this lap by Jack Werrell is enough to bring him up into provisional 6th. So a good improvement for Jack there. Koen Mulder in the number 3 Ferrari, who came from a bit of way back, but had a very good race last week, as I said, but currently 21st. So it doesn't seem like he's really enjoyed the opening 11.5 minutes of this qualifying session. And with just half an hour of racing, and I say just half an hour, it's not that half an hour isn't a long time anyway to keep your concentration if you're pushing to the limit, like it was Scarface. But jokes aside, it's not a lot of time if you got to make up half a field's worth of positions, starting as you would there in 21st. And also another thing that's worth noticing and mentioning is the fact that it's always quite a bit more dangerous to be starting down there in the mid-pack, because that's where you often see the calamities happening. And if they don't happen right in front of you or to the side of you, it's going to be in a position where you were so easily caught up in the incidents, and that in turn can really ruin races. Here is Koen Mulder's best lap so far, putting him up into 10th place. And let's see, a 151 dead, and that's just about 9/10 off of our current pole time.
Yeah, Koen running the Ferrari colours, the Ferrari Formula 1 team colours on that Ferrari GT3 car. So hopefully it's a bit more success than the F1 team have had of late as well. Hopefully, it'll be more of Max Verstappen based on his Dutch nationality rather than his Ferrari F1 team paint scheme on that car. As we see, who's that gone off now? That is, I couldn't quite tell who that is, but gone off at the club chicane.
Let's see, that's
one of the Mercedes.
That's
Stephen Kral, number 28 machine.
See, so Stephen Crowley goes all the way around, and then that's not the only thing happening, because behind that, Cohen Mulder taps the rear end of the number 9 Mercedes, and that is the car of, well, that's a bit of way down the order at the moment, I believe. Actually, it's in very last position, Damien Koba, the privateer. Hasn't had any real luck getting any laps in, and this time around wasn't to be, as he got tapped by Cohen Mulder, of course. In no way incidental, it is very much incidental, but I'm sure he didn't mean it.
Not intentional, you mean?
Not intentional, thank you.
That's right. No, I'm sure it wouldn't be. That's. Do you know what the thing is, Hasse? Is how contact and rubbing and racing is something we see all the time in the sim racing world. But actually, personally, in my time in commentating, it's very, very rarely do you see something that is quite clearly an intentional maneuver to bump somebody off the track. Usually, it's particularly on broadcast races, it's usually pretty polite normally, but. And Damien Koba's off. Oh dear.
As we were just watching a long bit of replay there,
yes.
He's off again.
Yes. Jack Wirral now back to 8th, but he's in the pits, maybe putting on another set of tyres to go out for one last banzai. Take your brain out, put it in a jar, and go for that big lap time. And here at Silverstone, the layout, whether it's this old layout or the new layout, in fact, most of the new layout does carry a lot of this part as well. This is the hangar straight. This is exactly the same as well. But there are some really big, high-commitment corners. In particular, the opening section of this older layout with between Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel, that's something where you're really hanging on for dear life and using all of the aerodynamic and mechanical grip of your car that you possibly can extract. And Lewis Hamilton, he says, forget Eau Rouge. Everyone talks about Eau Rouge and radio, and he says, no, it's got nothing on Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel, because he says that is the best sequence of corners in the world.
Maybe slightly biased by his own nationality there, I'm sure.
Possibly.
I'm sure you wouldn't find a Belgian that agrees with that statement whatsoever here.
Possibly.
We're still watching Valdir Suarez. Let's see, he's not been anywhere near his best sectors on this lap. Robert, the Lobster, who's currently sitting 16th, has just set in a fastest final sector, but he didn't really manage to improve upon that lap. Though I think he actually did. I think he must have had an off track for it not to count. Oh no, it was 3/10 down. That's my mistake. So that makes better sense.
Robert in the number 23 car, Robert the Lobster. He's actually he's a PSV Eindhoven fan, so I understand. And he's got a very typical orange Max Verstappen tribute helmet there. Eric Verley in the number 83. Eric from Venlo in the Netherlands, born in 1983, and running that Bathurst 12-hour throwback livery of the AAA engineering team in his Mercedes. Jack Wirral out for his final qualifying run is Hashimi. Look at that, Hashimi. Who's on pole position, 1 minute 50.0. Shots fired from the number 37 man in the Red Bull Audi.
And that's 3 minutes before the end of session here, so late, but great for Kamal Hashimi. He's now behind one of the McLarens. Best McLaren is the car of Dirk Reski, who I think actually could be the car ahead. Though there's not, because Dirk Reski's in the 18 machine. That car ahead is Dirk Brinksma in the number 1 car. But indeed, Kamal Hashimi with a very, very good lap there. And I think he's on a purple first sector as well here. And we have Jack Wirral noted on an outlap as well. A lot of good lucks coming into the drivers in chat. That's really nice to see. Get that support in. Support for the Brazilians. Valdir Suarez and Mauricio Coelho. So we're still watching pole sitter Kamal Hashimi. Jack Wirral, what is he gonna bring to this lap? That doesn't look very fast to me. That looks like an aborted lap, I'm afraid, for Jack
Waiting
Worrell.
for clear track.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it looks like Jack. Oh, Suarez. Oh my word. 149.458. That is half a second quicker than Hashimi. All of a sudden, Suarez says, okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm just going to put a lot of room between myself and the rest of the field. That is an amazing lap time just to bring out in the dying moments of qualifying.
What a time. He's really been holding it back or just finally stringing that lap together. But a perfect time to do so. No real time to react for Kamal Hashimi, who's in the pits. Kamal Hashimi's in the pits, so he's not going to make another lap. And that means if it's going to come from anyone, it's going to come from someone else than the Audi driver, American, currently in second place. We've got Eric Verley. He's on an outlap. Oh, as he spins, commentator's curse. But still on the outlap, it's not ruined it, and he's going to make it across the line. Is he? Peter, what's your take on that? At this point of the track, 50 seconds remaining.
Going to be close. Going to be very, very close for him to get one more lap in. He might just make it. He's now coming through Brooklands and into Luffield. Luffield, the corner, which just seems like it just goes on and on and on forever. But let's see. Ooh, yeah, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. He can gas it up now and head over the line. He'll get one more lap here. So for this number 83 Mercedes, and you never know. Sometimes with the tracks, sometimes the track can evolve as such, where the last man over the line has the track at its fastest. So let's see if that's going to be the case today. So you see Jack Worrell, he's gone over the line on his out lap, so he's got one more as well to try and get himself up the field. He's currently in 9th, so not too bad. But he'll be wanting to start a little bit further up the field. Now, this is more like it. That car's not going slow. This time he's going for it through Maggots, Beckett's, into Chapel here. Why don't we ride on board with our very own Jack Worrell, Hasse, and see how he takes this Silverstone circuit. So here we go then. Coming down the hangar straight, up to 5th gear. You can hear the rumble of this AMG Mercedes, 6.3 litres, naturally aspirated. Hard on the brakes, he'll come back down, he'll late in the brakes there, a little bit of oversteer, a little bit wide, back on the gas. And of course the Mercedes is nice and stable, nice and happy, on up to 4th gear, maybe down, late in the brakes there again from Jack Worrell, into 2nd gear, short shift to 3rd, just to smooth out that power delivery, coming round, club, and down towards it.
It's going to be an off track.
Jack.
I'm afraid.
That will be a lap scrubbed there as he comes into Abbey, the old Abbey, and a little bit of understeer there, scrubbing away there. He looks like he's fighting this car quite a lot, Hasse. I don't know if he's quite comfortable with it tonight.
Well, it seems to me that the setup is very aggressive indeed. It is a problem for this car usually that it does like to understeer quite a lot with all the weight at the front of the car with that big engine. Oh, and Mr. Worrell, he bins the lap, and that's going to be him starting in 9th place, for what it looks like now here. Dirk Resky's coming around, but he's been on... Oh, that's an outlap for him, so that's not going to be worth anything. Let's see if there's anyone coming around. I don't think so. I think we've got everyone completing qualifying laps, and we'll have the standings coming up for you shortly.
What a qualifying session that was, Hasse. Lots of back and forth. Verley had a turn at the top, so did Hashimi briefly. But ultimately it was Suarez in the Ferrari, and well, he's going to be the man to beat, coming off full pole position. But of course here at Silverstone, getting through turn 1, very important, but then into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, that can cause fireworks as well on the opening lap.
Yeah, indeed, it's a place where it's often, I think, tempting to go side by side, maybe even more than 2 wide, but it's going to be punishing to do so because there really only is one line through there, and It is the safest way to do so, just to settle and see if you can get into the second part of the track where overtaking is a little easier, a little more possible with the bigger braking zones. But that said, it's never easy really getting it off. So we're just waiting for the grid to get, I think we've got qualifying results and grid order on display right now. So Valdir Suarez on pole position in front of Kamal Hashimi, Eric Ferlet, Marcus Vento in 4th there, 9/10 off, that's not bad at all. Pedro Cladera 5th, sorry. Stephen Orrell in 6th place, we've got Savino Melillo 7th, Pete Plastow 8th with Simon van Dijk in 9th place, Jack Worrell finishing 10th there in qualifying, Dean Pavicic in 11th, I'm gonna have to be excused for a second there, Chris Bowie in 12th, and we're gonna hop a few rows down indeed to Jose Godinho, 13th, Cone Mulder, Dirk Gretzky with Mauricio Coelho, Martin de Jong, Nick Stein, Drew Williams, and Robert the Lobster in 20th place. Lee Tucker, Alfredo Cicarici, and Dirk Brinksma, 23rd. Stephen Kral in 24th place. Nico van Heel, Damien Koba, Nils Cornelis, 27th. Damien Trombi. We've got Timo Paya, Gaston Bori, Sandro Orsini, Rusjak, that's in 32nd place. The Ford GT of Chris Pio, 33rd. Newcomer EJ Fuellner in 34th place. Federico Carli and Ralph Salomon, 36th. And let's see if that was it. And I actually believe that it was. So around half a minute to go until we have the cars running for the formation lap, and a specialty thing here for tonight for this formation lap is we'll have a short interview, pre-race interview with Jack Worrell.
Yep, I'm going to be speaking to Jack just a moment. Jack Worrell, Peter MacKay here up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Oh, we don't have Jack in the interview waiting room even yet or anymore. He was there, but he seems to have disappeared. So let's see if we can get a connection to Jack Worrell at some point. And if not, perhaps we'll catch him after the race has finished. Oh, that was the sound of something crashing somewhere?
Yes, it was.
How is that even... Oh, and Jack Worrell, is he having some kind of trouble here? He's in the pits. He's not on grid, and they're rolling.
Oh dear, he's blinking. Oh no.
Is he just blinking? I don't blink. I don't see him blinking. I see him in the pits.
I saw him blinking briefly. That's not right. He's missed the pace lap, so he will start from pit lane at best. What has happened to Jack Worrell? Maybe he just desperately wants to come up and join us in the commentary box. Maybe we'll have to get him in.
He's there in the booth now. Let's see here. Peter MacKay is going to speak to... Or is they even going to have the time here? I don't think so.
No, we don't. We don't.
We don't even have the time. And they're green. Valdir Suarez Jr. leads him away for the green flag here, round 2. Kamal Hashimi got away nicely. He's going to be having Marcos Vento up into 3rd place. And then let's see further down the order. Does everyone get around cups safely? So it seems. And Jack Worrell, as mentioned, I believe he'll be starting from the pit lane. Someone spins it. Oh, it's going to be coming around. Oh, and catches EJ Fuellner in the number 4 Audi. That's very unlucky indeed. Timo Paya, I believe that was. What a start from Marcus Vento, who's done very nicely indeed. Brilliant camera shot here. Very much trackside as the cars are hammering down the hangar straight.
Another problem for Tricker Ricci in the BMW, the Argentinian. That's another. Don't know what happened to him. Here he is behind the Ford of Chris Pio. Oh, I think that might have been after the incident, to be honest, but he was started much further up than that. Alfredo Tricker Ricci in the BMW started much further forward than that. Another first lap disaster for him. I don't know if it was self-inflicted or not. Certainly wasn't last night. And that BMW sound. Whoa, that's early. But now, these cars do have anti-lock brakes, so I don't think that would be a lockup. That maybe looked like he maybe got given a bit of a help. It's a little bit of damage on the back, but not much. But it just looked like under brakes he just got helped out there. But what a pity. But he's back going again, which is the main thing. As you see, one of the other. Dean Pavicic, the other BMW, going a bit wide there. But Jack Worrell, is Jack Worrell running? Hasse, can you see?
He's not running. He's not running, dear. I'm afraid. And let's get him in here to have a bit of a word and see what's actually happening for Jack.
Jack, that's not a very good start. What's going on, my friend?
I'm not too sure, because I was having some sort of pedal issue where it just kept on revving, which I was fine with. I thought, yeah, that's fine. So I just unplugged my wheel and plugged it back in again, and it was fine. And clearly, because my pedal had been playing about, the temperatures proceeded to rise even after I'd solved the issue and I blew an engine.
Oh.
Ah, that'll be the noise we heard then.
Yeah, I have got out the car and I now can't get back in the car. The car wouldn't start, so I left the session and I now can't rejoin it either. So not a great opening night, if I'm honest. But I guess just go from here and, well, it can only go up, really.
Well, there you go. Do you know what, though? It's amazing. We've not heard that problem happen to any of our McLaren drivers or, in fact, the Ford of Chris Pio, Jack. That's quite extraordinary that that's happened to the Mercedes.
It is, isn't it? It's yeah, I see what you mean. It's not trying to drop a hint or anything, but yeah, the Mercedes isn't unreliable. It's always a very good, reliable car, very stable. But it likes to blow engines when you can't really do much about it. So I'm going to try and do my best to get back in, and even if I'm like 3, 4, 5 laps down, continue to turn laps, because, well, it can only go better. It can't really get any worse, can it?
No, that's true. And of course, how are you enjoying being back on the old Silverstone layout? Was it a bit nostalgic out there? I said it reminds me of Steve Soper and John Cleland in 1992 in the British Touring Car Championship. How was it driving the old layout once again?
It's tricky because I'm so used to driving the modern layout. It's a weird sort of conversion to get used to. Bridge is still probably one of my favourite corners. But it's a weird circuit for me because I never really got on with it. The last time I drove the circuit was probably on the original Forza, so quite a while ago. But it's a nice circuit. It still flows quite well. It's just, I have got to agree with you. The Mercedes probably isn't the wisest of choices because it does quite like to understeer.
Yeah, you'll see when you watch the broadcast back. We were on board with you for quite a while, and we did notice said understeer. The amazing balance of the mid-engine McLaren or Ford will be sure to cure that, Jack.
Well, I'll have to see what I can do in the meantime, but I will consider it. Let's just go with that.
Best of luck for the rest of the race, indeed, Jack. I hope you get back on track, and I hope we get to see you bang out a few laps there. And such a shame we don't get to see you actually race for positions here. Meanwhile, we've had a hot battle here between Dean Pavicic and Simon van Dijk. The two BMWs set for us was side by side for multiple corners before. I was just about to break into the interview and be very rude indeed. We've got a good bit of support coming in for Koen Mulder, who's in 13th place, started in 14th place. So having gained a single one since the start here. Dirk Brinksman, the number 1 McLaren, doing very well for himself, up in 15th as well. Looking very nice indeed. And Peter, generally, I think a lot of the field actually having settled quite well into the rhythm here.
Yeah, there is nice and steady so far for most of our runners. And oh, look at the flames spitting out the back of that McLaren. Now, look at the Konica Minolta Audi right behind him of Lee Tucker. That's a very nice looking car, that Audi R8. Now, Lee, one of our American drivers, and of course that paint scheme, the black and blue Konica Minolta, made very famous by the Wayne Taylor Racing Team in the IMSA series. Of course, current Rolex 24-hour at Daytona champions. They run that series. Now, Lee is actually a photographer, so perhaps that's where the Konica Minolta. Whoop, there's a wee bit of Nico van Gale getting a little bit of a love tap there and spinning around. But yes, the Lee Tucker in the Audi, he is a photographer and a home brewer as well. So maybe he'll be in the number 32. And look at that, Hasse goes immediately straight back to him on camera. There you go, folks. That's a look inside the mind of Hasse Rømer there.
Well, who doesn't enjoy a good beer? Anyway, we've had a fastest lap set by Eric Verlet in the Vodafone Audi in 3rd place. Oh, there's a very slow Ferrari letting off there, and Kamal Hashimi, I think, got caught out by it ever so slightly. Eric Verlet closing that gap rapidly indeed. Here in the final sector, he's closed in around a second on Kamal Hashimi in the course of this lap alone. And they're both now hunting Valdir Soares, and of course, they got to do well not to let the Brazilian up ahead run away like he did 2 weeks ago at Okayama, because he went away from the start of the race and no one really ever seemed to see him again. Here's Stephen Orrell in the vegan AMG GT there in 4th place. closely followed by Pedro Marimon Cladera, the Spaniard, in the anime Mercedes. And I would be very surprised if that is not a livery stemming from the Japanese Super GT series and the GT300 class. And in behind there, Steven Van Dijk now putting on the pressure to the rear end of Pete Plastow. And that Ferrari is certainly feeling things heat up there. Savino Melillo is right behind. Oh, and there's someone standing still on the inside there. And there's a bit of a kerfuffle in the final corner. That's Ralph Salomon going across the grass. And I think that's him rejoining in the 21 Ferrari. Oh, he makes contact. And a lot of drivers doing really well to get out of the way there, Peter.
Yeah, it's not ideal when someone comes across the track there, but that can happen here occasionally. Verlet looking good, looking strong in the Mercedes up front. And for those that didn't catch the first round at Okayama 2 weeks ago, these front three, these were the class of the field. These drivers were the class of the field last time out: Suarez, Hashimi, and Verlet. So, be interested to see who comes out on top. But at the moment, Suarez is in the driving seat. I have to say, I do like the anime paint scheme on that number 7 Mercedes as well, and I'm sure, yes, that is some sort of inspiration from some of the Japanese GT series.
It has to be indeed. I'd be willing to eat my hat if it isn't. So let's if anyone can tell me that it isn't, I'll find an old hat, I'll find a webcam, and I'll eat it. Anyways,
I like that. It's a man who sticks to his word.
I do my best. I do my best indeed. Koen Mulder there, absolutely making minced meat out of the competition at the moment. He's up into 10th place. He's gained 4 position. And Derek Resky though in the McLaren in front there. It's a real train forming up, but he's made up 6 positions to be in 9th place at the moment. But as I said, they're really queuing up behind. Here's Dean Pabicic, who was a bit ahead as well, but he's lost a bit of position.
Yeah, Koen Mulder really making a good move up here with Resky in the McLaren, holding up the honour for Woking for McLaren as well. Now, if you're wondering, if you're new to GT3 racing or sim racing, first of all, welcome. Now, if you're familiar with these cars on track in the real world, so things like the McLaren MP412C, the Audi R8, and you're thinking, how on earth are these cars behind a BMW Z4, for example, a much more humble vehicle, let's say, and also even a Mercedes AMG is nowhere near as fast as a Ferrari 488, for example. Now, we have, in the world of GT3 racing, we have a wonderful thing called balance of performance, which basically, as the name suggests, tries to balance the performance across the field. So look at this, you've got a McLaren, a Ferrari, a BMW and a Mercedes, all racing wheel to wheel with one another, very close on the timesheets. And that's basically because they've all been balanced to run at a very similar lap time. So if a car is going too quickly, they'll add weight to it or close the air restrictor size or sometimes reduce turbo boost if they can. Or if they will need to make the car faster, they will do the opposite. And that's why we can have cars like all of these racing on track with one another. To give you an idea how extreme it can be, the Ferrari, which is probably the most exotic car in street form, the very much the standard version is Resky and the Ferrari spins around. But the Ferrari 660 horsepower in street trim, but the race car is only 490 horsepower. So actually the race car has far less power because it needs to be balanced out for competition. But Dirk Resky getting loose there, coming out of the old Abbey curve, and one of the BMW is having to take evasive action, but perfect style points there, Hasse. I think full marks for style, spinning around in a perfect circle.
Yeah, he did make it look pretty good. Oh, there's a big calamity there as well. Oh, and that's several cars involved, and that is not looking good indeed. And we'll see, I'm afraid the home beer brewing Lee Tucker is a part of that. The number 9 machine is involved as well. And several cars. That was Damien Kuba as well in it. Poor luck there. Lee Tucker keeps it running. He's down in 22nd place at the moment. And let's see Ross Jack, by the way, ladies and gents, here in the number 22 Lazarus car. It's a Lazarus livery, at least. He's a privateer, so I wouldn't be sure that he's... But anyways, good looking and nice to see the Lazarus livery represented. It's a combination of colors that I enjoy looking at. But that was besides my point. But he started in 32nd place. And he's now up into 10th, Peter.
Yes, there is. And there's two things that are very much playing in his favour. One, and most importantly, he's Scottish. He's our sole Scot in the field. So well done, Ross Jack. But also, he has a Valentino Rossi replica helmet on there, which is actually the, for those who are familiar with Valentino Rossi's special helmet designs, it's actually the donkey helmet that he's got on there. So he's got a Valentino Rossi donkey helmet inside that car. Very cool indeed. So good run from Ross Jack. Like you say, up 22 spots in 13 minutes. That's pretty impressive indeed.
That it is. And here we've got Simon van Dijk. We have Elroy Racing, Hash van Dijk. Give it a go. Plenty of support for you, Simon. Next Level Racing from the Netherlands here. Feeling these BMW set for us. Very nice looking livery as well, I have to say. This is a beautiful looking car. Like the sort of urban camo. Goes well with the black stripe. And Simon...
That's a wonderful sounding car as well, isn't it? With that flat crank V8. Of course, a car we don't really see racing anymore. It's long been retired, but was successful straight away. Won the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in the GTD class in 2014. And what's happening here?
That's been a problem for Koen Mulder.
Oh, Koen Mulder trying to go up the inside of Ross Jack there. Sends it up the inside and loses it. Ross Jack lucky not to be taken out there. So Koen Mulder, after all that hard work, he's going to have to do it all over again. As Dirk Resky spitting flames out the back of his McLaren. Now, I've noticed also on the side of Dirk Resky's McLaren, he has the Tweety Bird from Looney Tunes on the side panels of that car.
That's very true indeed. Oh, Koen Mulder giving a bit of a flash to the McLaren in front. And he is not happy. Perhaps a bit harsh defending there. Oh, cuts across. And he's not as close as it looked from our angle of view there now. Into the chicane, and that Dirk Resky really getting deep, and he might suffer now. Koen Mulder is looking to get his nose within reach. Well, he's very much within reach, but can he get ahead in any of these braking zones? That Ferrari carrying a bit of damage. I expect the McLaren of Dirk Resky actually to do the same. Let's have a look actually with the race leaders. Because it's still very close here. Look at this. Kamal Hashimi has done a very good job of staying right on the tail of Valdir Suarez Jr. Eric Perlade, they're in third places. We're halfway through the race, by the way, Peter. But Eric Perlade lost a little ground there, but still very much within seeing distance. Albeit not really touching distance. And then Stephen Orell and Pedro Marimon still pretty close. And then... the aforementioned Next Level Racing car of Simon van Dijk there in a good position as well. And Simon van Dijk has climbed up 3 places, but within the top 10. Ross Jack still our top climber with 22 spots there to sit in 10th place. And he's now chasing Mauricio Coelho, albeit with a 30-second gap there. And Alfredo Tricarici as well. He's up into 11th now, and he was a long way back, Peter.
Yeah, he was right at the back of the field after that incident at the beginning, and you can see he's got a bit of damage at the back of his car, so I think he was given a bit of a help. But Alfredo Tricarici, he's, as we know, he's got real-world racing experience, and real-world racing experience is one thing, but experience at the Nordschleife, well, that's one thing even more. So watch out for him as this championship progresses. He's been quite unlucky in the races so far, so I think I've got to pick... I've got him down for a race win, and that BMW, that sweet handling BMW, I think when we go to Lime Rock next time out, that will be, and also to Tsukuba for the penultimate round of the championship, I think that car will really come into its own.
I think you're right there, Peter. It's certainly a car we always see atop of the standings when it's able to be thrown around. A tight, twisty track indeed. Now, Dirk Resky is still having his success. holding up Cohen Mulder here. Oh, it's one of the McLarens. Or McLarens, that's a Mercedes indeed. Oh, make contact there with Dirk Resky. That's going to open the door for Cohen Mulder. Sneaks up through ever the opportunist. But is that Martin de Jong up ahead? Or is it Steven Krall? That's Steven Krall, of course, who went right across the grass. Let's have another look at that because it got a little sketchy. So he has a big old slide, catches the inside grass there, comes on again, and then Dirk Resky tries to turn in, and that's his own mistake, I have to admit. Because and Dirk Resky spins. Dirk Resky. I'm sorry, Peter.
Dirk Resky just got it. Sorry, yeah, Dirk Resky just there, just getting, I think, a little bit frustrated and made a little mistake and decided, yeah, that just tried to tuck off a little bit too much there, coming into Cops through turn 1 there. But he's back going again, hopefully with minimal damage. But that's good news for Cohen Mulder that he moves up 1 spot with Steven Krall, his fellow Dutchman, in 12th place. But Tricarici, he's now up into the top 10 with Ross Jack, the Scotsman. Having another look up the inside there in the Mercedes. Big send there, but Tricarici able to avoid him. It's going to be a good battle between those two. As Jack goes past again, and Tricarici gets him on the cutback in the club chicane. So, Alfredo Tricarici, he's met his match with the Scotsman Ross Jack.
That's a huge send indeed, goes very deep there. And Tricarici says thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and get that position back. Of course, a spot in the top 10 for these drivers starting such a long way back. It's very good indeed. The top 3 has been as it was here. And look at this, Valdir Suarez Jr. now under huge pressure from Kamal Hashimi as we're coming into the final minute of... Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the final minute. We've got 11 minutes left. I saw something else there on the... For a short minute, I thought, how quickly has the time passed? I got a complete shock. But of course, it's not the final minute yet. And happy so, because Kamal Hashimi is now caught up to Valdir Suarez Jr. And my excuse is that I got all excited that we were seeing this as a last-minute battle. But that's all the better, because now we got 11 minutes of racing to go. And Valdir Suarez has clearly lost pace compared to the Audi R8 behind. Kamal Hashimi has been closing that gap steadily, and he'll now be finding an opportunity to get that attack in. And let's see further down the order, still a good close battle there as Cohen Mulder is looking to get a move in on Steve Krall, and both of them are right behind Ross Jack still, and up ahead Alfredo Tricarici. He's moved away from these.
Hashimi doing a great job at the front there in his Audi, and crazy to think that he only joined iRacing this year in 2020 as well as Mulder. Big move on the brakes there, yeah, very well made, and gets it done, tucks it in, and off in pursuit of Ross Jack. So let's have another look at this. Cohen Mulder in the Ferrari, lines up hard on the brakes, down to bottom gear. Perfect move, perfectly executed, nice and clean and safe, very good indeed. So next up for him is Ross Jack, the Scotsman, currently in 11th place. Now, quite useful thing about these GT3 cars, as we see Neil Cornell's gets a little bit too heavy on the brakes there. You'll see a little LCD screen on the windshield, which has a number in it, and that is where the position the driver is in the race. So the number on the side is the race number, but you'll see that there, 05. For Simon van Dijk, that means he is in 5th position, and that is a very good performance. He's top BMW right now, behind 2 Mercedes, an Audi, and a Ferrari. So we've got a good balance of manufacturers up at the top. I have to say, earlier in the week, we had the SRW GT Evo series, and it was completely dominated by the GTE BMWs. But in this field, much more of a balance between the manufacturers.
Yeah, very much so, and I'm just noticing that Stephen Orrell is now down into 6th place, and that means Simon van Dijk has gotten his way through. I'm just looking through the event viewer to see if we can actually have a look at it. Oh, here it is. So, Simon van Dijk, and you know what? That looks to be it's a bit of a squeeze there to Stephen Orrell. It was very well of keeping them both well and alive in the race, but a good move in the end from Simon van Dijk. Oh, and that's the Minolta car of our beer brewing friend. And let's see, where is he in the race?
That was a good move there from Simon van Dijk. Very hard on the brakes and a firm move, but a fair move as well. He could have leaned on Orel more, but he didn't, and he did make the move. So very, very firm move indeed, but well made. That BMW is just fantastic on the brakes. It's just so stable. You just ram the brake down as hard as you can and just let it work out. Ross Jack gets very loose there. As they come under bridge, heading towards Priory. Corn Mulder's going to have a go, I think, here. Will he have a look coming into the left-hander of Priory? He does. That's tight. Oh, that's very tight. Oh, my goodness me. He makes it work. Ross Jack. Oh, goes for the cutback. Oh, my word. But Cohen Mulder gets through. Ross Jack skipping and sliding all over the place. Let's get another look at this.
Absolutely brilliant, I have to say. They're really trying to gain maximum race quality out of it, and a big slide indeed there from Ross Jack. And I'm just gonna see if we can catch a better look. Here it is, and then in slow motion.
Yeah, so he gets it tucked in. Ross Jack does give him the room. Ross Jack could have squeezed him there, and they both could have gone round, but Cohen Mulder put his nose in there, and big send here, and Ross Jack nearly gets the cutback as Cohen Mulder runs a little bit wide, but running into Luffield, Cohen Mulder could run that wider line. So he's back up into 11th place now, and Cohen Mulder, I tell you what, he's had a real seesaw kind of day. He's been going up to the front, then back, then up to the front again. So he's certainly got the pace to move through the field, as he's now off in pursuit of Tricarici in 10th.
And Ross Jack goes deep there in the chicane while chasing Cohen Mulder. And he has to be aware that he has Steven Kral and Nico van Heel in behind.
Suarez half a second level quicker on that last lap, a 1 minute 50.8. Hashimi a 1 minute 51.8. But hold on a little minute. Is Hashimi still? But yes, he is. He's just still behind. Lost half a second on that last lap. So maybe Suarez just maybe made a mistake or something like that, or coming through traffic or something. But he's back onto pace now, and he's in a good position to go for his second win in a row of this season.
5 minutes left of this race now, and Valdir Suarez Jr. indeed seems to have found his rhythm again, because he was really losing pace. Kamal Hashmi got closer than close, and now it seems that there's just that distance of a second and a half reestablished, and a lapped Audi as well in between the two at the moment. Eric Verlet has had a rather uneventful race here, as Pedro Marimon is in 4th position now under very heavy pressure from Simon van Dijk and from Steven Orel in behind. And this looked like it could be a very good battle for these final couple of laps here. Now Steven Orel looking for the good run on Van Dijk here. But as you said, Peter, that BMW very good on the brakes. And it seems to be difficult for Orel in the AMG just to get a run through the twisty parts of the track. It needs to be perhaps on the start-finish straight into cups, or perhaps down the hanger straight as well. It could be a possibility there. Oh, we've had a problem, I'm afraid, for Ralph Salomon and Nico van Heel as well. So let's just have a look at that, because he was close. Oh, and there's been a major calamity there as someone goes around, and that's Ross Jack! Into the wall he goes! Ross Jack! I'm just gonna catch what exactly happened to him. Oh, as he makes contact with the number 2 car of... That's the car. Who is that?
Oh, and in 28th place. Yeah, that's a lapped car. Be interesting to have a look on board with Ross Jack just a little bit further back there, because it looked like that incident had started back up at Stowe Corner with that Ferrari of Ralph Solomon getting a little bit frisky as a lap traffic. So let's have a look at this. So he goes to... Oh, maybe just didn't see him in his mirrors, and a bit unlucky for all concerned there, but yeah, just didn't look in his mirror.
Well, that is what happens, but very, very unlucky indeed now. Alfredo Tricarici has Had a battle here with Cohen Mulder, who's all of a sudden on his tail here. And Cohen Mulder trying to get around the outside onto the start-finish straight, but he's not going to make that happen, is he? Oh, they could be
Here
close
he comes.
all the way down. It's still the replay, mind you. But we're going to watch this because I reckon he's got to run here into Cups. It's going to be more than a look. No. And with that, we're going to see how the actual standings are. Trickerici still ahead here into the final 3 minutes of racing. Stephen Orrell, ladies and gents, is up into 4th place. Now what happened to the other 2 cars?
Looks like he's made a move on Van Dijk and the Mercedes there, and getting past Van Dijk's BMW. Let's have a look then. Oh, looks like it might have been a bit of a calamity, a bit of a contact. Let's see if Orrell get... Oh.
Where did they go?
Oh,
How did they go so wide?
Oh dear, that looks like a little bit of contact. Let's have a look. So Van Dijk goes up the inside here, coming into Copse in turn 1, hard on the brakes, gets a little bit of a left on the Mercedes, and that just sort of straightens them out. And oh dear. And Orrell, he'll say thank you very much indeed. I will take that. And at this stage of the race, not enough time really for Van Dijk, unless he's really got to push very, very hard if he wants to try and reclaim that position for 4th place. Is Plastow in the Ferrari. Not we haven't said much about him. He's had a pretty uneventful race.
Huge
Van Dijk going a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, big save on the onto the artificial grass there.
Look there up
Coming
ahead
around.
for the
so
BMW
let's
up
have a look
ahead.
and
Big
oh
slide.
my goodness. Yeah, that's a big slide. That's the artificial grass, which is very, very slippy. It's like glass. Really, really difficult for the grip. Now, I have to say, Cohen Mulder certainly gets my vote for most entertaining driver of the day. He's now having a complete punch-up here with Trickerici, and he's going to go up to the inside. No, but he's doing everything to fight his way back into the top 10. I can see why he's a fan favourite.
Indeed, I can as well. Cohen Mulder, a lot of support for him as well. And this time it's no joke. Into the final minute we go. 1 minute of racing left. Oh, as he bends a bit of a tap. And Cohen Mulder goes across the grass and onto the gravel there. And now he's going to watch out with the rejoin. And surely he's going to have to give back the position. That was a rather frisky line through those corners, Peter.
He bumped Trickerici. Watch this. He, boom, gets into the back of Trickerici, off the brakes, does well not to collect Trickerici again, and straight through. He says, Maggots, Beckett's? Nah, I don't like those corners. I'll just skip them. And onto the hangar straight. So, yeah, he'll have a big slowdown penalty there. So, but he hasn't served it yet. That's very bizarre.
That is indeed bizarre here as Valdir Suarez Jr. and Kamal Hashimi yet again now under a second between the two. So if it's going to be the final lap, they're going to have the white flag. They're going to be shown the checkered one at the end of this one. Indeed, Kamal Hashimi now all of a sudden very close here. Eric Verley 7 seconds down, and then Simon van Dijk was indeed going to get 4th place. How did you call that one, Justin? I have no clue, because I did not see Simon van Dijk getting past on Stephen Orrell, but Stephen Orrell, he's been off. He's been off the track, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he maybe had a slowdown penalty or some description, maybe. Oh, no, you're right, onto the grass. Oh, dearie me, he's doing the same as Mulder did. Comes back onto the circuit, and then Van Dijk has got the run on him. But Orrell's able to rejoin in 5th. Cohen Mulder, however, he still hasn't served the penalty from that track cut. So we'll need to see how that one figures out by the end of the race. But Kamal Hashimi, the number 37 in the Red Bull Audi, he's right on the back now of Suarez. We're coming into the final sector now, heading down towards the Old Abbey corner. Very tight left-hander. We've got another Audi on the right there. Down the gearbox. He's late on the brakes. He's going to go for this. Does he run wide? No. Gets on the gas hard. I tell you what, he's right behind Suarez here as they go under bridge and head down towards Prairie for the last time, Hasse.
Oh, and here he comes up the inside. And he does he make it? The 4 Audi comes back. They're going to be side by side. Oh, it's a left-hander turning into a right-hander. I guess they're going to be the cutback. Suarez got it for now, but Hashimi's on the outside. Oh, and I'm going to lose my voice with this one. It's going to be so close. Who will get the run?
Here goes Hashimi. Oh, but Suarez just holds him wide enough. It's going to be Suarez coming over the line here to win race 2 of the season in the SimracerCoin GT3 League. What a finish, Hasse.
What an amazing finish there, I have to say. Oh, and by the way, on the final lap here, Stephen Orrell's had a problem. He's parked the car for whatever reason that's not good. Poor luck there. But what a final lap. Amazing battling there. Kamal Hashimi really making a great show out of it. I'm afraid it's not gonna allow me to show off the replay there anymore. Oh no, I'm afraid not. Whatever, that's very... Oh, what? Perhaps. Let me just see, because... Stephen Orwell, what happened to... Oh, he just slowed down there.
He
We're
maybe
gonna have
blew an
another...
engine.
He might have blown the engine, yeah, just like Jack Well was talking about earlier there. Let's see, here it is, coming in, and he overshoots it, so we're just gonna...
And I think he maybe got put off slightly by that back marker coming back onto screen, who must have got a heck of a fright, and also a grandstand view of that battle for the end. And Hashimi nearly gets it around the outside. Great performance from him.
Yeah, indeed, I would like to get that one in a slow motion shot here as he comes into the braking zone.
Oh, you like that slow motion. Look at this.
Goes so deep. And I think if he timed that braking zone just that little bit better, Peter, he would have had a very good shot, because Valdir Suarez seemed to have a tough time defending that whatsoever. But what a good battle indeed between those two. And what a good race in the end here. And with that, let's see if we have the results ready yet. I do not think so. Still some drivers going around. Could we perhaps go to live pictures? They're coming to a halt now. I think everyone has more or less crossed the line. Peter Rosjak finishing 14th in the end there, so still climbing 18 places. And you know what? Got Stephen Kral finishes in 10th. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, good finish from the Dutchman there. Very, very good for the number 28 machine. But yeah, Rosjak, what a drive. Just unfortunately caught up in a couple of little incidents, not necessarily his fault, but I'm sure if you'd have said 14th place from where he started, he probably might have taken it. So good drive from him, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of the Scotsman. And I'm very happy to say that as we head to Lime Rock Park in a couple of weeks' time.
And we've got the results in as well. So here it is, official. Valdir Suarez with another picture. The Brazilian just about edging off Kamal Hashimi for second place. Eric Verleid there third. Simon van Dijk in the end. Justin Nair with the crystal ball getting out there and indeed finishing fourth. Pete Plaster in fifth. Pedro Cladera in sixth with Sabino Melito in seventh. Mauricio Coelho, the second of the Brazilians here in the 17 car in eighth place. Stephen Kral ninth though. Dirk Reski in the Holy Cow Racing McLaren in 10th. Robert the Lobster finishing 11th, not bad at all. And Rosjak 12th. We've got Dirk Brinksmith 13th. Alfredo Tricarici. Such a good race though. And in the end finishing 14th for him. Bit of too much action perhaps you could say. Nils Cornelis in 15th place. Then Cohen Mulder, Jose Godinho and Chris Pio, Peter, finishing 18th in the Ford GT. Not bad at all from him. So going on to the next row, then Stephen Orwell, Nico van Heel, Drew Williams 21st, then Martin de Jong, EJ Fielner. We've got Damien Trompi, Timo Paya, Federico Carli, Lee Tucker, our home brewing mate who had a bit of bad luck there in the Audi R8, finishing in 27th. Then Ralph Salomon, we have Gaston Body, Chris Bowie, Dean Pavicic 31st, and then Damien Koba, Nick Stein, Sandro Orsini, Marcos Vento down in 35th place, and he was running so well at some time there. So, and in the end, the unluckiest of drivers on the grid here today, our lovely colleague here usually in the box, Jack Werrell. So, with that said, let's go on to some race interviews. And let's see who is in. We do have our race winner. First of all, I give you Peter MacKay with Valdir Suarez Jr.
Valdir, congratulations on a second win in a row here in the GT3 SimracerCoin League. That finish was amazing. Classic Silverstone. Tell us all about it from the driver's seat.
Hello everyone. Thanks. It was really tough race. I think that the track was a little bit hotter than expected for me at least. So at the very first beginning, I was able to manage the pace, control the pace from Hash and Eric. But at the end, I was trying to control the tires, the fuel, and also try to manage. And at the end, as soon as I saw Hash coming on my mirrors, I gave him some space, and I was expecting him because he was so fast, and he should put some pressure on the brakes over there. So I gave him some space, and I made the X and got it through that. So it was tough, man. So my car just ended with 0.3 liters on the tank. So it was really good.
Oh, that's certainly close for comfort there as well. Now, how did you enjoy driving the old Silverstone layout? Is it a layout that you're familiar with?
Yes, I did some training on this before, and I was trying to manage, but I like the high-speed corners and the old format on these tracks. A really good track to drive.
Yeah, it's certainly an old classic. And I tell you what, that Ferrari's working for you very well. How are you feeling about that car around the much tighter contours of Lime Rock Park in a few weeks' time?
Yes, I think that over there, I don't know. I need to put the car and make some tests and make some drive. But today was good. So the pace was good, mainly on the low speed corners. I had some good brake and some turns, but the Mercs and the Audis today were really fast and straight. So let's see what's going to happen over there.
We shall see. Congratulations on your second win of the season. A great drive indeed. Hopefully we'll see you again next time for another chat in the commentary box. Thanks, Valdir, and have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
And that was Valdir Suarez Jr., our race winner. This time around, we've got Kamal Hashimi in for an interview. And Kamal, what a great battle there all the way to the end of the race. Getting that braking zone and that vital moment just a tad bit late. How disappointed are you with that result in the end?
Honestly, I'm not disappointed. It was a phenomenal race. My heart was racing the whole time. So, it was a great race. Congrats to Valdir. And, I'm excited for next week or 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks indeed. And it seemed Valdir had the pace early on, then you came back. He then went away and you came back. It was kind of an ebb and flow kind of race. Were you expecting to be at this sort of pace here at Silverstone, or was it a surprise to you?
No, I actually expected to be a little faster. I wasn't expecting the track to be this hot, so I was losing traction left and right. Almost spun out a couple times even. But I had a way faster pace during my own practice earlier this week. So it was tough. I wasn't used to managing my tires, but I kept it on track, put down some decent laps, and as soon as I got in his toe, I was able to keep up right up to his bumper.
And we're coming up to Tsukuba in 2 weeks' time now. Kamal, what are your thoughts on such a technical track in the Audi R8?
I hope it's not chaos. I feel pretty confident about it. I'm excited. Just got to practice, and put in that time, and hopefully it translates to race day.
Well, it's going to be great to see you again on track in 2 weeks. Now, before we let you go, Kamal, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're here in the booth?
Shout out to Drew Williams, who came 21st. We won our 6-hour Nürburgring last night, so shout out to him.
Congratulations.
First
good
place,
stuff.
baby.
And congratulations to you on a very good race and a very good result as well. Hope to speak to you again in 2 weeks' time after the race on Tsukuba.
All right, thank you for having me.
And with that, we're going to go over to Peter MacKay, who will be ready in a moment with our third place finisher, Eric Fillet.
Eric, how did that one go out on the old Silverstone layout?
Well, it was not exactly the second podium because last time I was fourth, but I took the interview space last time.
My apologies.
But it was a good one. It was hard to manage the fuel because I was empty. I ran out of fuel on the finish line, so I had to hold my pace a little bit in the second half of the race. And in the first half, I couldn't hold the pace of Kamal and Valdir. They were just too quick for me. But I'm happy with third. So good result.
Was indeed. You could have been. You're far too honest. Typical honest Dutchman. You could have said, "Oh yeah, it's been a good second podium there." Yeah, of course, you're right, Peter. Now, on your car, you're running the Vodafone 888 Bathurst 12-hour livery. Are you a Craig Lowndes and Jamie Whincup fan by any chance?
Oh, not really. To be really honest, I don't know the guy. But I knew the Bathurst is a really tough race, and well, maybe someday I have the chance to look at it, to watch it, but I don't know it.
Well, I have to say, after this, I'm going to go and open a cold beer and watch some V8 supercar racing from Australia. So I can highly recommend it, and yeah, you'll be a Jamie Whincup fan because that's the colour scheme that they ran in the Bathurst 12 hour. So so there we go. Now, while we've got you here live on SimRacer World TV for the second week in a row, tell us if you've got anyone you want to give a shout out to on the broadcast.
Well, I want to give a shout out especially to my girlfriend, because she's giving me the space to practice a lot for these results. And of course, all the fans who are watching me, because they are watching again, and that's basically, I'm really happy about it. And of course, to all the guys who are on the track with me, because I think it's really fun racing, and we are really enjoying the race at the moment. And it's a nice bunch of guys together. Thank you for this race, everybody.
Well, thank you, Eric, and hopefully we'll see you again in a few weeks' time, back up here in the commentary box for another chat.
I will fight for it. Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
That was Eric Verley, and that concludes our interviews with the podium finishers for tonight. What a great race we've had here, Peter. It's been an absolute joy bringing it to you, and thanks for watching, everyone out there on YouTube, on Twitch, and on our Facebook page as well. Do leave us a like if you've liked what you've seen here tonight, and if you want to see more, you know where the subscribe button is. And don't forget that bell icon, the ding! If you want to get notified of when we go live for more streams. And speaking of going live, I'm just going to try to break down our weekly schedule. So every second Wednesday, every second Thursday is going to be the SRW GT Pro and GT Evo series. On the other Thursdays, we've got the SRW F3 series brought to you by the king of iRacing broadcasting, I want to say, Chas Draycott. We have got Porsche Club of Great Britain's GT3 Cup series running on odd Sundays, I believe.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
We announced our champion Ryan Parkins. So if you go and have a watch back, some racing from Spa today, and we've got the final 2 rounds of the first season next Sunday at 1:30 on SimRacers World TV, live from Brands Hatch. And I can tell you, Hasse, Jack Werrell cannot contain his excitement.
I could surely imagine that indeed. So I think that takes us through what we've got on display. I was good at that, wasn't I? Totally, you can really feel I've done my homework there, right? Not. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for watching along here today. I think we're going to leave it to it from now. And from me and from Peter MacKay in the booth, it has been our utmost of pleasures taking you to today's action. See you again soon, and until then, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.